Is it wrong to wear a watch that looks like Rolex but costs way lesser than Rolex? Perhaps less than $100? Are Homage watches the better alternatives? Or we can consider that just a design rip-offs? So in today's video, let's talk about the line between the appreciation of watches and also the imitation. Now before we start, we need to know the definition of Homage watches. Now Homage doesn't mean it is fake. Homage watches actually means it respects the original iconic design without copying the original logo. Now usually Homage watches are inspired by very iconic and legendary watches, for example the Rolex Submariner, the Omega Speedmaster, the Royal Oak, and etc. So you can see that in Chinese watches as well. You have brands like the Pagani design, Steel Dive St. Martin, and also Cadison. They are known for homage designs. Now for example, let's take the Pagani design PD1644. By the look of it, it clearly takes design inspiration from the Rolex Daytona, but at the same time, no way does it say that it is the Rolex Daytona. It doesn't even try to pretend that it is a Daytona. There's no fake logos or no shady kind of branding like Relax. No, this is totally a homage watches that was inspired by the Rolex Daytona. And actually, by taking inspiration from original watches, it's not something new. Even Seiko and Invicta have historically created watches that was inspired by Swiss designs. Now, why do people love homage watches? So I think number one, the reason is because of its affordability. Not everyone can, pay such a huge amount like 5 figures on a Rolex Submariner, for example. So homage watches actually give that iconic style at a fraction of that price. And because of that, everyone, literally everyone who doesn't have a lot of money can enjoy the classic look. For example, like the fluted bezel from the Datejust, the Moonwatch, or even the Aquanaut or Nautilus without going broke or even have to wait for a year's long wait list. Not only that, it gives a chance for people to actually test the designs and put it on your wrist before you actually commit for the actual original brand. And for example, this mini focus bullhead, I actually like the design. I bought this one at a cheap price just to test it on my wrist, and after wearing it for a few months, I actually like the design, so I've been saving up to purchase the real one from Citizen. Now don't look down on homage watches. Actually, some of them have surprisingly good specs. Many of the homage watches actually offer a very outstanding specification such as sapphire crystal, ceramic bezels, Seiko, Miyota movements, and even decent lume, but at a price that can even beat fashion brands with lower quality. Now let's look at why homage watches can be a problem. So number one is about the issue of ethics. Some say that these Chinese companies are very lazy. They just piggyback on another brand's years of heritage, research, and design. They just took that design and put their own logo, and that's it. And number two, it could be homage watches. Actually, people equate it to fake watches. Now there's a very thin line there. A homage watches become very questionable when the logo, even the fonts or the box design are a replica or mimics the original too closely. So it blurs the line between the counterfeit and homage watches. Then there's the community and the collectors, the stigma. There's some of the watch community that views homage watches as a wannabe type of watches, or label those who wear such a watches as someone trying to, fake it until you make it. And of course, homage watches is often associated with the lack of originality in the market. With so many homage brands, the truly original and affordable designs are very hard to find nowadays, and somehow they can hurt the innovation of watches. But personally, I think that it's all about the intentions. If you wear a homage because you genuinely like the design and appreciate watchmaking, just go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. But let's say you are trying to wear those watches and to pass it off as something that it is actually not, and then that's where the line actually gets very blurry. So where do we draw the line then? Where's the limit? Is a Pagani designs that resembles a Rolex considered okay? What about a watch that copied the dial layout and similar logo font? Now I think for me, but this is my own humble opinion, for me the definition here and the line here is this. A homage watch is a watch that takes inspiration from the original design, and they are very clear about that upfront. They are transparent about that. It is not an original design, it is a homage watches, and show respect to the original brand. because they use their own original logo and perhaps change the color scheme as well and offering a different dial and different type of specifications. Now, fake watches on the other hand, it is a very tricky watch for people because it tricks people into believing that it is the actual thing. Perhaps it used the brand's names or even the logo, and they are intentionally very deceptive to the buyers. So those are fake watches. But here's something to think about. Even luxury brands, they borrow design cues from one another. You know, smartphones like Apple and Samsung, they take the cues from one another, even the AirPods products and all those things. So copying logos or selling fake boxes. But what makes it a fraud is it copies the logo or even selling fake boxes for what it is not. Now that's actually crossing into the line of being deceptive and a fraud. But as a summary, at the end of the day, Homage watches are just a gateway for people to get into watch collecting. They can be fun, well-built, and accessible for many people. But my advice is to be always mindful of the difference between inspiration and imitation. But of course, this is my personal opinion. So what's your take? Do you think that Homage watches are a better option? Or is it actually causing problem in the watch collection industry? So you can drop me a comment in the chat below. And if you love this type of content about watches, don't forget to click like, subscribe, and I'll see you in a future video. Until then, take care and have fun with your watches. Bye!